Hi, I'm Veer. I'm one of Dylan's long best friends from since the age of 6, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just about, I guess, just chilling. Um, yeah, just living life. Yeah.
What's your main interests and hobbies?
Main interest is acting, singing, I guess, now. Um, and those are the main ones. Yeah, acting, singing. Yeah.
Solid,
Very
solid.
nice. And in terms of also what do you see yourself doing in the future in, like, let's say 5 to 10 years?
Hopefully by then, I want to kind of get into like the acting industry kind of thing, like couple maybe little side character in films or TV shows to eventually get a main role and all that stuff.
Cool,
Okay.
cool. So I think the best way to start this dissection into your life, let's say, is let's begin like at the early ages. Um, you know, how was life growing up for you as a child? You're 17, turning 18 this year. You're a year above us in schooling terms, but that doesn't really matter because we're best mates. But yeah, give everyone a little insight into your early life into as a child. What was it like growing up?
It was very like free willing. I was able to do anything and everything. Yeah, like from a very young age, I've always like been out there, like running around, all that stuff. Um, just had a passion of like being with people, making people laugh. Um, and all that, being there for everyone from a very young age, family as well. Like I was kind of given that role of the babysitter of the family from both mum and dad side.
Mm.
So yeah, just been on the go ever since.
And do you
Very
think like your parents were an enabler for that free willing nature of yourself?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah, like they've definitely let me explore and let me do things that at like certain ages where normal parents wouldn't normally allow. They'd normally be like, "Oh no, don't do this. It's not safe," or this or that. Like they'll let me like explore. If I get, they'll let me learn. Like if I mess up, they'll let me learn. They'll tell me wrongs and rights and all that stuff. So definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of growing up, would you say there was did you enjoy your childhood? Because I know quite a lot of people live to regret it in the sense that they don't feel as if they achieved as much as they wanted to. But now, since you're turning 18 this year, do you think you've achieved everything you've wanted to?
Um, Definitely, yeah. I definitely feel like I've achieved a small. I wouldn't say good amount, but a good amount of like childhood memories and all that. I've definitely achieved a solid amount because now it's all work life, job, all that stuff now on because I will be 18 this year. So mentally preparing myself for that. Yeah.
What do you think about like the people who I'm sure you've come across people who have been like, they regret certain decisions that they probably didn't make in their childhood and things like that. So what do you think about like that whole concept of regretting because you're not taking opportunities as a child? Like what's your take on that? Because I think it's quite an interesting phenomenon where we see people who are like, there were so many gateways and opportunities we see when we're younger, but sometimes we're a bit scared or our parents may limit us to actually take them. So what's your opinion on that?
I feel like live life to the fullest for as much as you can. Like from what I noticed, year seven, mid year eight, I would just be like just day to day stuff. But from like towards the end or towards nearer the end of year eight, mainly is when I started like really taking in everything in high school. Mainly, like that's the main like shock factor of like, oh, I'm slowly getting older. That's where like hit me like cherish all the moments of like in lesson, out of school with your friends, that all like the little stuff that you'll grow up to know and like cherish in that sense. But that's definitely come with the way I've been brought up, like since primary school, all that stuff, like even going out with your mates and all that stuff, like sharing those mini moments. I feel like age definitely plays a factor in that, but there's still like never too late to like have fun. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Never too late to have fun.
yeah,
Enjoy. Be happy-go-lucky.
I
And
guess that's sort of like a mantra that you're taking into your adult life, right? It's like never too late. And I guess I might be wrong in presupposing this, but is that sort of what fuels your also passion for acting, because it is fun for you as well? Like it is,
definitely.
at the end of the day, you're having a really good time and you're putting your passion out there and you're making work for people, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Spot on. Yeah, like you're gonna have to do, especially with me, what I've taken in since I started like enjoying acting and all that stuff, is you're gonna have to do stuff you may not know you had to do before and might find challenging and all that stuff. It's just all matter of like living life to the fullest, giving it a shot, see if it works. If it doesn't, how do you come across it? How do you improve and all that stuff? So yeah, definitely.
So do you want to just go into a bit more detail about like what you actually have taken in since that sort of clinch point in like end of year 8 in terms of acting? So what are you currently involved in right now in terms of your in education wise and what you're doing in terms of acting? Because your route is sort of different to the normal sixth form college lifestyle. So do you want to go into a bit more detail about that?
Yeah. Right now I'm currently doing a performing arts course, and like the stuff we have to do is like you would never think you'd have to do it. Like I thought GCSE drama was it when I took it on, and I thought it was. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was more acting than theory in high school. It was the complete opposite, but I was like, I'm all right with it. I'm still, at the end of the day, I'm still doing what I love, which is performing. Um, as soon as I got into college, half the stuff I learned in high school went out the window. I never knew half the stuff I learned. Like improv, I didn't know how easy and natural it can come. Um, Different topics, what you're gonna have to cover, maturity especially is a big thing. Um, yeah, like even singing, dancing. Dancing's a bit iffy, but singing, acting is yeah, like half. Yeah,
yeah. So what's been your favorite thing you've learned once you've left your GCSE subject behind and started performing art? What's something that you've learned?
you're surrounded by people who are equally as passionate, if not more, which drives you as a performer, and that's one thing I love. Like no one's there to judge you in that sense. Like if you mess up, you're gonna get support from your peers as well as your tutors, and it can be like uplifting because certain things that we have to do in certain shows are fairly mature, and we have to have like that adulty kind of mindset of we have to be serious. And there's been times where we have to like take upon ourselves to hold our own rehearsals without our teacher telling us to and all that stuff, and like taking it more seriously and finding different ways and tricks to learn how to memorize lines and lyrics. Like high school didn't teach me that at all.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think what you talked about, the idea that you're going to be or you're surrounded by people who are extremely motivated and
it
they
drives
push
you.
you
Yeah,
they push you both mentally, emotionally, sometimes maybe, but they're
oh yeah,
always trying to it's making the better version of yourself. And I think that's synonymous with many environments in which you put yourself in, but as you get older. And I think that's a really important thing to be in because you're constantly also being challenged as well, which will lead you to become the best version of yourself.
Where have
yeah.
you seen that on your like in terms of in your life? Where have you seen that?
I think in terms of school, so both Dylan and I go to a really academic school, and
I think that's changing though.
it's changing, but it's known for it being academic. It's known for its academics more than anything else. And moving from junior school, primary school, to senior school, um, you go from being the top of your class in primary school, and then you immediately get pushed in, and then you're just like, oh, everyone else is just as good as me, if not better. And it's this constant idea that the people who are at the top are the people that you strive to be. And when you see them get their A's and A stars effortlessly, or it seems to be effortless, you always want that for yourself. And so you're working harder, and they're constantly motivating you in a way. And there's that competitive nature, which is good, as well as it's toxic sometimes.
I guess I think to discuss would then be, is competitiveness within a school environment, is it toxic or is it actually needed to an extent? I don't know, what your guys' opinion on that? I mean, also as males, we might have a different view to a female, for example, about the competing nature of schools. And I think that's something we can explore further down the line. But yeah, what's your initial take on that, both of
I
you?
wouldn't necessarily agree with the fact that males and females have like differing views completely on this topic. I'm sure there's some similarities between some people and some
Yeah, but I think
differences
there
between
is
others.
there would
I think I wouldn't say there's a huge difference, but I would say I think a really interesting point is that schools that tend to succeed or get the highest grades academically, they're not necessarily co-educational. They're always
Mhm.
either a boys' school or a girls' school. And I think that is a very interesting point in terms of whether once you only surround yourself with your gender, so to speak, whether that really truly unleashes the best in someone.
that's a fantastic point. I've never really, I mean, I always knew it because if you look at the league tables and whatever, you can see that, you know, you've got the single sex schools dominating the league tables.
Yeah.
But wow, I guess the other side of that though is like, what is actually education in terms of, it's also about your role within society, of how you interact with people. Maybe that's where co-ed sort of has its advantage, but that doesn't get highlighted within like the so-called best performing schools. So
Yeah.
when we talk about, you know, what actually constitutes a good performing school, is that, you know, Veer, what would your take be on that? Like, what actually constitutes a good performing school? Is it more about the personal development and how to think and how to educate yourself, or is it also come down to the actual academia side of it?
I feel like it's a bit of both. Like the school have to kind of play their part as well as you by yourself. Like for example, revision. Like no one, let's be honest, no one really wants to do revision. You have to take it upon yourself to find notes, find ways that work best for you. Like some people prefer listening to music whilst revising, some people prefer isolating themselves, and also it's up to like schools to find methods that not only work for you but for everyone as well, and to see how it works and how it shows in their students.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very interesting point. Um, so I guess the point then is like, now, how do you think schooling's impacted your sort of life now at this point? In terms of, I think it's fair to say, without going into specifics, like, you know, you've had a different journey to us two in terms of schooling. Yeah, in terms of humanity and our personal development, we're all on a very same trajectory in terms of, we've all got
Yeah,
very similar morals and values. Our ethical questions may diverge a little bit, but that's more due to personal interest more than anything. Our core fundamental beliefs about how the world should work, I think, sort of are agreed upon, I would say. So like, how do you think your schooling has impacted your development as a person?
like school has definitely played a part in how I am on my day to day. Like there's like the most like simplest things that I didn't think I'd learn on, which I learned from school.
Mm.
Like for example, like what was it? I can't remember there was something I learned from my science teacher that's always stuck by me. I can't fully remember it, but like the things that they say, sometimes they fly past you. You don't really pick in what they say, but once you actually like in a way read in between the lines and what they're saying, it actually has more meaning to you.
Yeah, maybe sometimes what they say is not actually about the subject itself, but it's
Yeah,
about life in general. You don't
exactly.
realize that until like halfway through the year, when you've like fully
Gotten to
clocked.
know them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, I get you on that. I get you on that. There's definitely a few teachers for us, I think, in our school, Anirudh, who have that impact on us.
Yeah.